When an empire attacks, the empire claims that it is the victim. The rhetoric that Ukrainians are somehow Russophobes is used by the Russian state to justify a war of aggression. The claim that Ukrainians are, quote unquote, Russophobes is one more element of Russian hate speech. In Russian state television, those other claims about Ukrainians are intermixed with the claim that Ukrainians are Russophobes. So for example, in the statement where the speaker claimed that all Ukrainians should be exterminated, the reason he gave is that they should all be exterminated because they are Russophobes. The claim that Ukrainians have to be killed because they have a mental illness known as russophobia is bad for Russians because it educates them in genocide. But of course, such a claim is much worse for Ukrainians. The term Russophobia is a rhetorical strategy that we know from the history of imperialism. When an empire attacks, the empire claims that it is the victim. The rhetoric that Ukrainians are somehow Russophobes is used by the Russian state to justify a war of aggression. But of course, it's the war of aggression, it's the setting that matters. The invasion itself, the destruction of whole Ukrainian cities, the execution of Ukrainian local leaders, the forced deportation of Ukrainian children, the displacement of about half the Ukrainian population, the destruction of hundreds of hospitals and thousands of schools, deliberate targeting of water and heat supplies during the winter. That is the setting. That is what is actually happening. The term Russophobia is a claim by the imperial power that it is the victim, even as it is carrying out a war of atrocity. This is historically typical behavior.
There's this whole thing about Kievan Rus, and like Putin talks about it, and Zelensky talks about it, and both Putin and Zelensky are named after the guy who was baptized, maybe, in order to found Kievan Rus, who is called Voldemar, because of course he was a Viking and not a Russian or Ukrainian, because Russia and Ukraine didn't exist at the time. It would be really, really easy if we could teach classes, and you can kind of see, like in history textbooks sort of dream of this too, where there was one territory and there was one state and there was one people, right? And of course, if I say that, it sounds rather fascist, and it should. But it would be really simple if there were just one territory and the boundaries never changed and there was one people there and there was a state the whole time. That's never how it's been for any country.